Everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing himself. This insightful saying by Leo Tolstoy is a valuable reminder for all of us to reflect inwardly. The renowned 19th century Russian author suggested that we ask ourselves what God really wants us to do. As Leo Tolstoy said, "In the name of God, stop a moment, cease your work, look around you." A novel by Tolstoy is not a work of art, but a piece of life, stated Matthew Arnold, a 19th century British poet and critic. In addition to his renowned epic novels, Leo Tolstoy wrote essays and letters that conveyed the spiritual truths he came to realize in life. Along with adopting and promoting the vegetarian diet, he became deeply interested in spirituality and living by the ethical teachings of Christ. The concepts he conveyed through his writings about peace and the fulfillment of God's will greatly influenced 20th century leaders like Mahatma Gandhi and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Supreme Master Ching Hai spoke about the uplifting nature of Leo Tolstoy's work during a group meditation session with our association members in July 1997 in Los Angeles, USA.
Because Tolstoy was a practitioner, That's why when you read his story, almost a story about spirituality, about God, and very happy, very positive. It's very good to read him, to read his book. You try. If you haven't, you try. You can read more, Such thing is very good for you.
We would like to share with you an insightful excerpt from Volume 2 of The Pathway of Life called Living in the Present. Living in the present. People imagine that the course of their life is in time, in the past or in the future. But this is a delusion. The true life of man is not in time, but always is in that timeless spot where the past and the future meet, and which we inexactly call the present time. In this timeless point of the present, and therein alone, man is free, and therefore the true life of man is in the present, and in the present alone. The true life is in the present. The past is no more. The future has not yet come. What is then? Only that point where the past and the future meet. This is seemingly nothing, yet in that point is the whole of our life. We only imagine that there is time. Time is not. Time is merely a device by means of which we gradually see that which is in reality and which is ever the same. The eye does not see all of a globe at once, yet the globe exists all at once. In order that the eye may see the entire globe, the latter must be turned before the observing eye. Even the world revolves before the eyes of man in time. For the supreme reason, there is no time. That which will be is. Time and space is the disintegration of the infinite for the convenience of finite creatures. There is no before nor after. That which will happen tomorrow already really exists in eternity. There is neither time nor space. Both are necessary to us only for the understanding of things. And therefore it is an error to think that speculations regarding stars whose light has not yet reached us or regarding the state of the sun for millions of years are of any consequence. There is nothing important, nothing worthwhile in such speculations. All these things are idle mental diversions. If life is something beyond time, why is it manifested in time and space? Because it is only in time and space that there can be motion that is striving towards expansion, illumination, perfection. If there were no space or time, there would be no motion and therefore no life. The spiritual life of man is beyond time and space. Time exists for the physical life alone, but the spiritual being of man is beyond time. It is beyond time because the activity of the spiritual being of man is only in efforts of the mind. But the effort of the mind is always beyond time, for it is always in the present, and the present is not in time. We cannot picture to ourselves a life after death, nor can we remember a life before birth, because we cannot picture to ourselves anything that is beyond time. Yet we know best of all our life beyond time, namely our present life. Our soul is thrown into our body, where it finds numbers, time and space. Meditating upon these things, it calls them nature or necessity, and indeed it cannot think otherwise. We say the time is passing. This is wrong. We are passing and not time. As we sail on a river, it seems to us as though the shores of the river were moving instead of our boat. Even so it is with time. It is well to remember frequently that our true life is not the outward physical life which we live here on earth before our eyes, but that alongside of this life there is within us another life, an inner and spiritual life which has no beginning and no end. True life is only in the present. The ability to remember the past and to imagine the future is given us only in order to enable us, guided by this or that consideration, to decide more correctly our actions in the present and not to regret the past or build for the future. Man lives only in the present instant. Everything else is either gone or is uncertain of occurring. We worry over the past and spoil our future merely because we pay too little attention to the present. The past is gone, the future is not yet, only the present exists. Our future state will always seem a dream of our present state. Not the length of life, but its depth is of consequence. The important thing is not the duration of life, but how to live beyond time. And we live beyond time only by an effort towards righteousness. If we live in this manner, we raise no question of time. Live for a day, live for an age. The meaning of this adage is to live as though any moment you await the last hour of your life, and have time to attend only to the most important matters, and at the same time so to live as though you could continue to do without end that which you are doing. Time is back of us, time is ahead of us, but it is not with us. If you dwell on that which had been, or on that which will be, you will lose sight of the most important thing, living in the present. A moment is only a moment. Man so lightly regards the moment as to let it slip, and yet his whole life is solely in that moment. Only in the moment of the present can we make that effort which will take the kingdom of God by force both within us and beyond us. Not tomorrow, but today alone can you overcome evil habits. Nothing is of consequence excepting that which we are doing in the present moment. It is well not to give thought to the tomorrow. To avoid doing so, there is only one means: to think unceasingly whether I am fulfilling the task of the present day, hour, and moment. Happy viewers, thank you for joining us on today's Words of Wisdom.